we also needed to talk about the way that Trump spoke about Renee Good. You remember the ranch liberal who was driving that SUV, who was 3 minutes um, honking at, dancing, blocking the road so ICE couldn't go through, and then mocking the ICE officers. And then when there was this ICE officer right in front of the SUV, the girlfriend or wife or whatever began shouting, "Drive, baby, drive." So Renee just stepped on the gas and almost ran over that ICE officer. Remember, right? So President Trump says Renee Good was likely a solid, wonderful person under normal circumstances, but calls her actions pretty tough. So this is interesting. I want to say to the Father that I love all of our people. They can be on the other side. I would bet you that she, under normal circumstances, was a very solid, wonderful person. But you know, her actions were pretty tough. And Trump has the point that I've been trying to come across or express in my videos, in that we don't know how many of these people are just brainwashed. That they might be saved, they might be redeemed, and sadly it was too late for Renee. She was completely brainwashed and was a tragic outcome. Let's hear it from the Don himself.
The death of Renee Nicole Good. I've been speaking to her father, who is a big supporter of yours, like many Americans are, but he's heartbroken right now.
I can understand that.
He's heartbroken because his daughter is dead. That's obvious. He's also heartbroken because your administration so quickly has come out and said she's a domestic terrorist. What do you want to say to her father right now?
Well, I want to say to the father that I love all of our people. They can be on the other side. As you say, he might be on my side.
He is on your side.
And I think that's great. And I do. I think it's great.
So the father of Renee is MAGA, or is a Trump fan, which it makes it those family reunions must have been really interesting. That past Thanksgiving must have been really interesting.
And I would bet you that she, under normal circumstances, was a very solid, wonderful person. But her actions were pretty tough. I mean, I've seen it many ways and many different shapes and forms. But the bottom line is, look, we have hundreds of thousands of murderers in our countries, killers. ICE is trying to get them out. They were let in through an open border policy of sleepy Joe Biden. ICE is working very hard to get them out. Their job is being made very, very difficult. And, when you look at that tape, it can be viewed two ways, I guess. But when you look at the way that car was pulled away, there are a couple of versions of that tape that are very, very bad.
Even Trump says that you can look at that video in two ways. As in, the late Scott Adams used to say, watching two movies on a single screen. As in, some people are going to see something, but we know. I already made a video analysis of all the angles, and it's obvious that, yes, the ICE officer was actually hit by the SUV, and yeah, she floored that gas, which was really dangerous, and it was not more dangerous because it was slippery. The pavement was really slippery. So we also have Renee Good's former father-in-law, what he thinks about her. So he doesn't blame U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement for her fatal shooting in Minneapolis. Timmy Macklin, her former father-in-law, told CNN the situation was hard all around and that he believes some bad choices were made, but he doesn't blame ICE. I don't blame also Good's wife, Rebecca. I don't blame Renee. Macklin said he wishes that if we're walking in the Spirit of God, I don't think she would have been there, and that his view is shaped by his faith, which is also what we have been saying. Common sense. You exercise a bit of common sense, and common sense will save you a ton of times of not doing stupid things or being at the wrong place at the wrong time doing the wrong stuff. You have the right to do so, but it's much better to stay alive, stay safe, and maybe you can protest, maybe you can have an opinion, absolutely, especially in the United States, but you can express that in other ways that doesn't put you in danger or your loved ones in danger, which is the single most important thing that anyone should be thinking about. Good was married to Macklin's son, who died in 2023, and the couple shared a 6-year-old son. Macklin remembered Good as an amazing person and good mother who was full of life. When pressed by CNN anchor Erin Burnett on whether the shooting was justified, Macklin reiterated that he was not blaming anybody. Again, because the circumstances are tragic. Tragic is the word. Renee should not have been there. Macklin said that he watched cell phone video from a witness that showed Good's vehicle striking an ICE agent. Oh, interesting. And said that in a split-second situation, it's hard to say how would anyone react. It is important. And speaking of which, we have asked this question before, not only in our shows, but in my videos. What happened to the footage from the girlfriend, wife, or whatever? What happened to the footage shot by this phone? And it's gonna be a very good footage because this is a latest gen iPhone. I don't know if this is an iPhone 16 or 17. I don't know, but it's like this. No, it says maybe 16. Should be very crisp, very clear. Should be like the footage that we saw from the ICE officer. But it turns out the Department of Justice has opened an investigation into Renee Good's wife, Rebecca, for actions on day of shooting, ties to militant far-left groups. I mean, what is interesting, the most interesting part of this footage is that I can guarantee you that it would be interesting, not only the footage of this tragic event itself, but photos and videos of past activities. And if the FBI has gotten hold of this phone, then it could be interesting. I'm sure that we are not going to see the contents of what is in that phone, but I'm pretty sure that it's going to be revealing. And at the same time, I still think that this is tragic for everyone, including the girlfriend, because yeah, it's something that you are not measuring your actions. You have this brainwashing. I really want to be empathetic to this, because it's something that it is baffling, the amount of propaganda. I mean, I have an anecdote. I remember that when I was in my 9 to 5, I was sent to Caracas. I was not living in Caracas. I was sent to Caracas because I was representing my institution. I work at a university, and I had to go in representation of the university to an event in Caracas. And the event was in a, let's say, at a part of the city that was completely red as in Chavista, okay? So I remember that it was after a tunnel. You went through a tunnel, and when you got out of the tunnel, you saw propaganda everywhere. And the event itself, I had to excuse. The event was going to last 2 hours. I couldn't stand even 20 minutes. I just left. Okay, I was scolded by my bosses back then. It was not as hard of a scold. I had like executive power, so I could just leave, which I did. But I felt physically sick of all the propaganda around me, the streets, the huge murals, paintings, posters everywhere with Hugo Chavez's face. It was something that I have never seen. So much propaganda in all around me. And the event itself was by the Red government, by the Chavista government. I think if you are representing a public university, you have to go to that. You have to, but I just couldn't understand all that. So my question was, when I was going back, my question was, I felt physically sick just in less than 2 hours. Okay, the trip there, going down 20 minutes and then going out, let's say 1 hour and a half. What about the people who live here? What about the people who are exposed to this every day? What about the children who are exposed to this in schools? What about the people who are exposed to this in other, maybe they are, they work at a public job. Yeah, they have a funcionarios. I don't know how to say that in English. They work for the government, for example, or they have they work at a public school or any public institution. They're going to be exposed to that 24/7. And that I could understand, yeah, how can people be so brainwashed in so many ways? And yeah, that showed me, yeah, there brainwashing at a large scale can be a thing. And with the media right now, with the mainstream and legacy media behind all these Soros-backed campaigns, who knows to what extent these people have complete and absolute brain rot. The thing that we should think about that, because we need to acknowledge that behind these people are actual human beings, all right? I can mock them, I can make fun of them, but these people are actual human beings that are being pushed, literally conditioned, brainwashed into doing all of that. And of course, we also have the hoaxes, like the very famous Very Fine People hoax. I've tried to debunk some of those hoaxes in my videos and on my channel, but there's so many of them.